But come on with this big ass hat, man. Like, come on, y'all. This big ass.
I really wanna why. She already heard about me. She's already point out pop.
Part-time worker built multi-million-dollar brand from scratch.
Folding clothes, helping customers find their sizes, and doing inventory counts. Pretty normal job, right? But life can change. What if I told you that one of these retail workers would go on to build a multi-million-dollar fashion brand, become the creative director of Supreme, and have his work displayed in the Metropolitan Museum of Art? Sounds impossible. Well, that's exactly what Tremaine
Metropolitan Museum of Art for the Denim tears is crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't know the influence was that real. Cause damn.
He did. How does a part-time worker become globally recognized?
Tremaine doing his shit. I respect it.
Brand? The year is 2003, and in a bustling J. Crew store,
that nigga look the same, don't he? This him in 2003. This nigga look the same.
Tremaine Emery is learning the basics of retail, but this wasn't his first job. Before J. Crew, he was loading packages for FedEx, hustling to make ends meet. He even briefly studied filmmaking at LaGuardia Community College before dropping out.
He look a lot younger, but
people trying to find their way. Tremaine was piecing together a living while searching for his path. Born in Georgia and raised in Jamaica, Queens, Emery grew up with a unique perspective on style. His father, a CBS News cameraman, and his mother made sure he was exposed to culture from an early age. From watching Pavarotti perform with the Harlem Boys Choir in Central Park to seeing Cats on Broadway, young Tremaine was absorbing influences that would later shape his creative vision. Let's go back to that J. Crew store.
This is fire.
Surrounded by preppy American classics, cable knit sweaters, Oxford shirts, and khakis. Well, it's not exactly the breeding ground for revolutionary fashion you might imagine, but for Emery, it was a retail boot camp. He learned the fundamentals, how to manage inventory, how to interact with customers, and most importantly, how to understand what makes people buy what they buy. But here's what's interesting. While most people saw it as just folding clothes and working the register, Emery was absorbing everything. He watched how different customers interacted with different pieces. He noticed how small changes in display can affect sales.
You take shit from a retail shop, learn what you can from it, and do your own thing with it. That's what's up. I'm glad they putting the story on Tremaine a little bit more, because a lot of people don't know who that nigga is.
He was learning the psychology of fashion retail, one folded sweater at a time. So at first glance, these were just jobs. But for Emery, they were building blocks for something much bigger. After J. Crew, Emery took a job at a liquor store in Queens, then moved on to Kate Spade in Soho. This was his first taste of a more upscale retail environment. Soho in the early 2000s was the epicenter of New York fashion retail, and Emery was right in the middle of it. During his breaks, he spent time at Union, the legendary store co-owned by James, who later found Supreme. This was where he started to see how streetwear and high-end fashion could intersect, but it was his next move that would change everything. The year is 2006, and Tremaine is walking into Marc Jacobs for a stockroom position interview. Now let's set the scene. Marc Jacobs at this time was at his peak of cultural influence. This wasn't just another fashion brand, it was the brand that was bridging the gap between high fashion. Most people would be nervous interviewing for a stockroom position, but just imagine people walking in and finding not just the HR manager, but the company president, Robert Duffy, and Marc Jacobs himself sitting directly across from you. This wasn't standard procedure, but it showed something crucial about the company culture. Every position mattered. Every hire was important. That's how seriously they took every aspect.
Okay, hold on. CEO, COO, CFO, CR, CHRO, CCO, CMO, Director of Operations, Head of Finance, Head of Human Resources, Head of Marketing, Merchandising and Buying. This is far. Hold on.
Of their operation. Speaking of showcasing, as a designer or creator today, one of the biggest hurdles is visualizing your work.
Oh no. We don't do ads up here. Let's go ahead and skip that.
Jacobs store. And last time I spoke to her before she passed,
Good
she was
podcast.
like, do you think there's any way if you went back
Good interview, by the way.
to school that you could get a bigger position at Marc Jacobs?
The Marc Jacobs year was transformative. Starting in the stockroom,
1, 2,
Emery
3.
learned the intricate details
it
of
is.
luxury
That's a new
fashion
account, Lil Jake?
operations. Within a year, he was promoted to the sales floor. But what made Marc Jacobs different was his democratic approach. As Tremaine recalls,
I got your other account
from the
VIP.
stockroom
I got
to
an
the
VIP.
boardroom, you got the same clothing allowance every year. 12 garments and 2 pairs of shoes. It was about the clothes, sure, but it was also about dignity, about treating everyone in the organization with respect. It was a lesson in company culture that would stick with.
But come on with this big ass hat, man. Like come on, y'all. This big ass loose ass cap, man.
Him even to this day. Probably he would have climbed more positions there, but life had other plans for Tremaine. In 2008, after witnessing the tragic death of his friend and barber Raheem, Emery knew he needed a change. When his girlfriend was offered a position to open a new Marc Jacobs store in London, he saw this as his opportunity. London, 2010. Emery arrived in a city he barely knows, but sometimes being a stranger in a strange land is exactly what you need
what's
to
it called?
reinvent
Cleft
yourself.
palate
And
right there?
reinvent
That's
himself
crazy.
he did. He met A-Side
I didn't even
in a
notice
Nike
since he got the
park,
beard.
and that chance encounter would lead to
probably why
the
he keep the
creation
beard,
of
huh?
No Vacancy Inn, a cultural collective that would blur the lines between fashion, music, and nightlife. The London scene was
I don't know if y'all niggas
electric.
know, but there's an interview with Virgil, Heron, him, the owner of Antisocial Club, and I think that's it. And it's a good ass interview at No Vacancy Inn. Good ass interview. It's old as hell though.
Music was penetrating U.S. culture.
Like 5, 6
Mob
years
was
old at
making
this
regular appearances. Frank Ocean had moved to town. As Emery puts it, London was a petri dish where different voices were growing, interacting, and connecting.
And I said, Mom, I figured out some things. I'm working with this guy, Frank Ocean, working with this, me and A-Side, we're working with A$AP Rocky a bit. I'm working with this guy
A$AP,
named
you
Serge
hear that?
Becker.
That's
consulting for
that's
him
2-7.
for his venues in London, and I'm working with Stüssy, as consulting for them on design and marketing and parties. But this is very early, and I said, I think I've figured something out. Only thing my mom said was, I'm happy you figured out how to make a living doing what you always love. Because she knows I've always been into music.
Yeah, with the ad,
No
niggas.
Vacancy Inn became known for its legendary parties, including one when Kanye showed up for a Yeezus listening session. So now Emery's was just throwing parties. Nah, that would be so simplish. He was building relationships that would shape the future of fashion. He connected with Virgil, started consulting for Stüssy, and began developing his own creative
Still got some
voice.
shit I gotta
Now,
handle
If you don't
in
know about
Atlanta.
Stüssy, you need to understand
Ooh,
something.
what the word
This
is.
isn't just
Tapping into
another
that
streetwear brand. This is the
So what?
blueprint, the original.
Been
Before
tapping into that
Supreme,
game?
before Bape, before any of the modern streetwear giants, there was Stüssy. And Tremaine was about to become a key player in this modern era. And it started precisely with the party. Stüssy hired Tremaine and Acid to DJ an event for a Vans collaboration. But here's where Emery talent for turning
I haven't
opportunities
even tapped into my
into
team.
stepping stones came in.
Okay, I
Instead of
think
just
hold on.
playing music and collecting a check, he used this moment to showcase his understanding of culture, of how fashion, music, and lifestyle intersected. The party led to consulting work, and the consulting work led to something bigger. Stüssy saw in Emery something special, someone who understood both the heritage of the brand and where street culture was heading towards. They created a unique position for him, art director at large. Now he was
Wow.
traveling the world, connecting with artists, musicians, and creators. He was helping shape not just how Stüssy looked, but what it meant in the modern era. One restructuring at Marc Jacobs led to mass layoffs in 2015. Tremaine took his 30,000 euros, severance pay, and invested it all into No Vacancy Inn. When that money ran out, he raided his pension fund for another 26,000 euros. This wasn't just risk-taking. It was betting on himself. Then
That's a
came the
fact.
Kanye years. Emery moved to LA in 2016 to work for Ye, but the relationship ended with him getting fired. As Emery puts it,
Damn.
a lot of people say, oh, if you got fired, you got fired. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm proud that I got fired by Kanye. I wear it as a badge of honor. But everything he had learned, from folding clothes at J. Crew to working with Kanye, was preparing him for his biggest move yet. In August of 2019, after years of working for others, Tremaine Emory was ready to tell his own story. He then launched a brand that we all know as today, Denim Tears. Now, this wasn't just another clothing brand. Denim Tears was different. It was about telling stories through fashion, specifically the stories of the African American experience. Denim Tears wasn't born from market research or trend forecasting. It came from a deeper place, from history, from family, from pain, and from purpose. Remember how Emory's father was a news cameraman who covered stories across CBS News? Those influences were woven into the very fabric of Denim Tears. The launch was calculated for maximum impact. The first collection dropped on the 400th anniversary of slavery in America. The centerpiece, a pair of Levi jeans decorated with cotton wreaths. They were a history lesson about how the United States was built on slavery.
These look a little different though, no?
And the exploitation of black labor in the cotton fields. Or consider his reinterpretation of the Ralph Lauren sweater, where he replaced the American flag with the Pan-African flag colors. They were conversations instead of just clothes. The fashion world took notice. The Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute acquired 3 pieces from Denim Tears for the permanent collection. Think about that. From folding clothes at J. Crew to having your work
Destroy. That's destroy shit. Need that. Definitely need that. Still need that for real.
in one of the world's most prestigious museums. But Emory wasn't done. In February 2022, he was appointed as Supreme's first ever creative director. Supreme, a brand that had operated for nearly 30 years without a creative director, was just changing its playbook. And who was he? The kid who started in retail. He had reached the summit of streetwear. Supreme's Spring-Summer 2023 collection was Emory's first at bat. The pressure was immense. How do you push forward a brand that's already at the top? How do you innovate while respecting a legacy? The collection
because that wasn't nothing.
was his answer. A perfect blend of Supreme's rebellious spirit with new cultural narratives. Though his tenure as Supreme would end in controversy over issues of systemic racism, it didn't diminish what he had built. So how does someone go from working retail to building a multi-million-dollar brand? Here's what we can learn from Tremaine's journey. Every job is a learning opportunity. I hate when people make fun of other people's jobs. It's corny, and for all you know, the work you're doing now can be preparing you for something greater in the future. Those years on the shop floor surely helped him pay his bills, but it also gave him something more. The understanding on how the fashion industry itself works from the ground up. Second, as we already saw, relationships matter. From meeting a seed at that Nike party to collaborating with Virgil. Emory's network became his net worth. Third, authenticity always sells. Denim Tears succeeded because it was about telling stories that needed to be told. His story is a reflection of his cultural heritage. With yours can be just as powerful. Take risks. We won't achieve anything if we don't dare to take that leap. Whether it was moving to London or investing his severance pay in his dreams, Tremaine wasn't afraid to bet on himself. Today, Tremaine Emory continues to push boundaries with Denim Tears, collaborating with major brands like Dior and UGG. His work is celebrated not just for its style,
that was a
but
good
its
interview too.
substance.
Very good interview. This current Frost joint hit.
He's proven that with vision, determination, and a willingness to learn, you can build something extraordinary from the most ordinary beginnings. Remember that J. Crew store? Sometimes the distance between folding clothes and founding a fashion empire isn't as far as you might think. Again, it's not about where you start, it's about where you're determined to go. By the way, the platform says if you like this video, you might want to check this one out next. Alright y'all, this is Lee from No Studio.
Alright, he's snapping. I ain't gonna lie. Hold on, he's snapping.
My bro, we smoking though. Yeah, I want my bro and he poke me up. Yeah, I'm with this big and shit cool as fuck. Yeah, I'm in this big, I'm just coolin', bro. And my fist is filled with colors, bro. Yes, I'm flying for real, something like that. And I make sure my bitches feel all my love. And this know my best friend, I'm kicking shit with my bud. Damn, I'm so high.